Hi, this is Mashnu, and before we start with this exercise I would like to tell you that on my website chessimprovement.net you can watch live the games from the Tata Steel Chess Tournament. I'm broadcasting them every day starting at 1:30 in the afternoon Central European Time, and one of the games from the A group is being broadcasted with live commentary by an international master, so you can understand what's going on in the position. And besides that, there is also a webcam from the tournament hall, and the images from that webcam can be also watched on the same page. So if you go to chessimprovement.net, you will see it just on the front page. You will see the both things, the webcam images and also the pairing list of all the games from Group A, where we see names as Karyakin and Anand and Nakamura. Magnus Carlsen is also playing. So if you would like to watch those games, go to my website. Alright, now let's start with this exercise. What I want you to do is to make some calculations here. It's white to move, and the last move of black was the pawn from h4 to h3. Now take some time to do some calculations, and then we can discuss how this position should be approached. Okay, so try to find the best line for white now. You can pause the video if you like, and I'll continue the explanation in a moment. Alright, now one thing that happens often when we make calculations in dynamic positions in chess is that there is always a moment when we stop calculating. We evaluate the result of our calculation and then we don't continue calculating, and that might happen in this position. One of the things that's happening here is, of course, this knight on d4 is insufficiently defended. It's only defended twice and it's attacked 3 times, so we could take the knight. But the question is, of course, how to take it. If we take here with the knight, then queen f2 enters, and then after king to h1 there is queen takes g2 checkmate. So that's one line that's not very difficult to see, that needs to be calculated. Now, of course, we could also take with the queen, and perhaps this is what you saw, queen takes d4. But let me ask you, did you consider the consequences of queen to g6? Queen to g6 attacks the queen on d4 and attacks g2, so there is a mate threat now. Sometimes when we look at this type of positions, we calculate very superficially. We see queen takes d4 and we say, okay, now I have won a piece and there is no more danger, and then we stop calculating. Now it's important to, after this type of moves, always to think, okay, what's my opponent going to do? Imagine you would be playing black, what would you do? And then you can find this type of moves like queen to g6. But still there is a good continuation for white. There's one move that saves the game, actually wins the game even, and that is, well, not moving the queen, because we cannot move the queen away and defend g2 at the same time, but we can move knight from f3 to h4. Now the queen is attacked, so after bishop takes queen, check would follow. Right? Now perhaps you have calculated it until this point, and let me ask you again, did you calculate what happens after queen to g5 now? In fact, we have more or less the same situation, right? The queen is attacking now the knight, and the bishop is attacking our queen. So what to do here? A common mistake in calculation is that we think that the queen doesn't have any square on the 4th rank where it can defend this knight on h4. And actually there is a pawn undefended on b4, so we can simply take this pawn and then everything is safe. But there is also another line, and perhaps you would like to have a look at this. What happens if we would play rook to e5? Is that also a way to save the game or not? Rook to e5. Okay, I'll show you the variation. If we play rook to e5 here, then if bishop takes e5, then we have the beautiful queen takes bishop, and after queen takes queen there is a fork on g6. Did you see this variation? After the king moves, we take the queen and we are a piece up. So it looks like rook to e5 is also a good move in this position. Of course, the most simple way is to take the pawn on b4. But just as a calculation exercise, we could have a look at what happens if we move this rook to e5. And also in this position we can have a look at other options for black. Calculate, wait a minute, what if this pawn advances now to h2? The idea would be that if king takes h2, then bishop takes e5 is with check. What we need to do then is to move the king simply to h1. And this pawn on h2 is in fact defending our king, because it's simply in front of the king, preventing any other piece to enter there. So it's a black pawn, but in fact we could say in a practical way it's a white pawn. So here, if the bishop takes, we have the same idea of the fork on g6. Alright, so I don't know if perhaps you saw all these variations when I showed you this position, but I think it's important to really stay sharp and really, when we need to calculate, try to really calculate accurately and not stop too early and take draw conclusions that are too superficial. So if the queen takes d4, we need to have a look at queen to g6 and what happens after that. Alright, that's it. I'll leave it up to here, and I'll see you next time on YouTube. Goodbye.